Western Illinois head coach Joe Davis, team coming off a 1-point loss last week against UT Martin. This week they're back home. They're going to host Charleston Southern on Saturday afternoon. So, coach, just some thoughts about your team, and then we'll go to some questions.
Yeah, credit to Coach Simpson and UT Martin. Just had enough winning and championship DNA, to find one more point than us at the end of that football game. We had multiple opportunities to close that game out, especially in the fourth quarter, and couldn't do it defensively, offensively, and special teams, and came up on the short end. So very, very disappointing. Thought we got a lot of really, really good efforts from a lot of different players in that game, particularly a lot of young players. Again, now playing, almost 20 freshmen throughout these football games here midway through the season. So a lot to be hopeful for and build on. And if you told me we would have been sitting here with one win going into week 8 this summer, I'd have told you that you were crazy. But that's the reality where we're at, and we've got to do everything we can to continue to improve this football program, improve our roster and our organization, and anticipating another very, very hard-fought football game this Saturday for our homecoming as a very well-coached Charleston Southern football team comes to Hanson Field.
Thanks, coach. We'll go to questions. BJ, I'll let you start. Whatever you got, go ahead.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. Hey, Coach. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
From our vantage point, Doc and I sitting up in the booth, that did not look like two 1-5 football teams going at it last Saturday. There were some very quality plays, some highlights, some great talent out there. How did you see it from your sideline?
Yeah, the UT Martin had played 3 FBS teams. We'd played a couple FBS teams, so I think the records kind of get a little bit skewed, early in the season. But no, I mean, we knew they were very talented. They're very well coached. I think when you've got a culture and consistency of winning, those close games, seem to tilt your way maybe a little bit more often than not. And I thought Coach Simpson made a great point after the game. He's, that he was looking for his team to have a little bit more of that know how to win feel at the end of that game. And sometimes when you haven't won, it is hard to play with a lead and to close it out, for whatever reason. I don't know that I could put my thumb on it, but yeah, two good teams I thought played a good clean game Saturday, and lots of talent on that field, and very disappointed to come up short there at the end.
They've had I think it's one conference loss in the last 4 years. They've been the standard bearer in the conference, talking about UT Martin, of course, but you guys were basically 2 Hail Marys and a well-placed paw away from beating them on their field. I know you're not into moral victories, but there were some positives to build on, yes?
Yeah, lots of positives. To respond like we did after going down 17-7, I thought a big shift in that game was, they had gone up 14-7, and we had muffed the kick return. They had, I don't believe it was intentional. Their kicker did not hit a very good kick, and it landed in a tough spot. Our kick returner kind of froze. They recovered it, I believe, at our 13-yard line. And really, to go up 21-7 there, I think would have been really, really tough on us. And our defense kind of held into a field goal at 17-7. We respond with a couple big scores to go into halftime 21-20. And those are, little victories in our program right now that we've got to build on. And, to come out in the second half and to get the early turnover, to go up 31-20, these are all marks of improvement, I believe. And again, we've got to be able to build on those. Like I said, I mean, our defense, we had a chance to stop them late. They threw up a couple just, throw it up kind of a plays, and credit to them, they made them. We didn't. We score what we would think would be the go-ahead touchdown there at the end. It comes off for a penalty, which was legit. And again, I've told people all week, if you tell me that we've got Antonio Chata from inside 50 yards to win it, I'd take it every day and twice on Sunday. But it didn't go our way. So, but yeah, lots to build on, lots of positives, and we'll try to focus on those moving forward.
Last thing about last week, how cool is it for the kids to see Damari Davis #2 on the ESPN top 10 with an amazing catch? Just a talented young guy.
Yeah, sure is. I mean, it's the second time I think he's been on Sports Center in a top 10 type play this season. Damari changes our offense. He's the one guy that we have that creates explosive plays. He's fast, he's dynamic. We're not a very explosive team right now. We're just not. And when Damari's not in there, it's a glaring hole really in our team. We don't have guys on the outside right now that are making a bunch of big time plays consistently. Our running game has really lacked explosiveness here throughout the last probably month. And defensively, we're not coming up with enough game-changing plays, to tilt these contests in our favor. And Damari's one of those guys that has done that for us, and it's just been tough to keep him healthy, But when he's in there, we love to have him in there, and are doing everything we can to give him the ball.
This is my last question. Only 2 home games thus far, 5 road games. Finally home for homecoming. That's got to have the kids a little fired up.
Yeah, I hope so. It almost feels a little bit weird to be at home this week. To be honest with you, we're so used to getting on planes and buses, and you've been with us all the way, man. So the travel logistics component of it. But it'd be great. This community is very supportive of the university, and certainly our football program that really comes to light on homecoming. You can see all the festivities happening this week on campus that our players and team have been involved in. The campus kind of comes to life a little bit here with homecoming. And so, we'll be looking forward to having a nice crowd Saturday and a lot of enthusiasm for this football game.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Kyle, it's all yours.
Yeah, Coach.
Thanks, BJ.
Markel Holman is having a solid season at running back. What impresses you about his game?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's leading the league in rushing yards right now. He's kind of been our bell cow. I mean, Markel's a very intelligent football player. He's not a mistake repeater. He's learned our offense very, very quickly. He can make adjustments very, very quickly. He's really an excellent pass protector. Really, really good in the pass game in terms of route running and catching the football. He certainly saw that on that last drive. We just haven't been able to get him loose, and I think that's a part of our offense. It's kind of hindered us all season is the lack of explosive runs and being able to create space consistently for Markel. Markel naturally with 15 to 20 carries is going to grind out 60, 70 type yards, but we've got to find a way here down the stretch to up front on the perimeter to get him loose. Our starting running back with 15 to 20 carries should be over 100 yards, and that creates a lot of consistency in our offense. So we've been missing that. But all in all, Markel as a teammate, as a football player, as a guy that you really, really trust on the field, I mean, he checks all those boxes, and we're really, really lucky to have him.
Is there anything specific you attribute to your red zone success the last 2 weeks? I believe 5 for 6 in the red zone.
Yeah, I think that's one of the bright spots of our team and our offense this year. I mean, we've been very consistent in the red zone, have ranked, near the top of the conference and tops in the country really all the way since the start of the season. It's something like a lot of situational football we spend a lot of time on as a staff, figuring out a way to maximize not only our talent, but also what the defense is presenting us in those particular situations, more specifically in the red zone. And then, we've executed pretty good down there. And also, Kyle, it helps to have Antonio Chada. He's been pretty efficient in the red zone. And when you don't get touchdowns, even though you want them, again, you feel pretty good about 3 points coming off his foot.
2 more that Barry had here. Do you anticipate Avery Knight returning to the field this season, or is it maybe likely?
Yeah, unfortunately not. We had really hoped that he would be back. I don't want to say setback, but just medically was determined he's not ready for full contact yet. So we do not anticipate seeing him this fall.
And the last one is it's general about the transfer portal. What are your thoughts about the transfer portal being limited to January going forward in the future?
Yeah, I like the one transfer window. I'm not a fan of those particular dates. You know, we have been asked as FCS head coaches a lot about this particular topic, you know, from national committees. I don't know that the FCS head coaches have much of a strong voice when it comes to these decisions. I think it goes higher up the food chain, so to speak, with the FBS coaches and certainly the Power Four leagues. Um, that one window, I think, helps you solidify the team. I just think to have that window in January when you're first starting school, um, knowing that you may have to sign 20 or 30 plus players, I think is very unrealistic for teams at our level. And I think what's going to happen again, there's no playbook for this. There's no proof. Again, this is just I'm sort of making an assumption here as we go into 2026. The majority of teams at the FCS level will go into spring ball with very incomplete rosters. You just will not be able to fill your roster out in that time frame as it relates to when school starts. And so you'll sort of be backlogging the transfer portal throughout the spring, you know, certainly relying on junior college recruiting and things like that. So it'll be interesting to play out. I don't believe it's advantageous for FCS, but you know, just like every other rule, Kyle, that comes down, comes across our desks, we're going to make the best of it and figure out a way to maximize it and make it most efficient for Western football.
I lied. One more question. Charleston, this is Charleston Southern's first ever trip to Macomb, and you were talking about being road warriors and me on the road. Just talk about that aspect of a team coming that's never been to your place.
Yeah, I mean, you know, listen, we mention all the time when we see these games on TV. You know, hey, Rutgers has got to go play at Washington. You know, these teams in the Big Ten that travel coast to coast every single week. You know, I think it's just sort of part of college football now. You know, some of the small college towns we experienced it going to Martin, and Macomb is no different. You know, there's not necessarily an airport that you just fly into. You're flying into somewhere else. You're getting on another bus. You're driving down. So there's just some logistical challenges to it a little bit, but I think teams at our level do a great job of managing that and trying to not make it a distraction and rather just realizing that it's a reality and it's an opportunity to go play the game that we all love to play and love to coach. And whether that mean, I think you would ask Charleston Southern the same thing. You know, we would say, you know, very similar responses that we love to play the game. And if you tell us to play in Macomb or Charleston or New York City, we'd find a way to get there and go play. So just humbled and blessed and, you know, for the opportunity to play another Division I football game this Saturday.
Well, perfect, Coach. Appreciate your time and adjusting until today. Best of luck, and we'll talk to you again next week on Tuesday.
Thanks so much, Kyle.